Hi, I'm Lance Lambert. Thanks for tuning into the Vintage Vehicle Show. We are in Woodland Hills, California at Gary Whale's collection. He has a very unusual collection of cars. I bet the majority of the audience have never seen anything like what you are going to see today. Very imaginative, gorgeous, creative. Gary is a fun guy, a little eccentric, which I think he's very proud of, and we're just real honored to be here. So Gary, come on out here and defend yourself against these charges.
Hi Lance, how are you? Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. I had heard about you for years, and you created things that were, I don't know, outlaws, not the right word, but you went out, you drew outside the lines.
Things that never were, that should have been.
Yeah, and rather than the crowd of the Rolls-Royce crowd, the Bentley crowd, rather than being upset, they seemed to just really admire what you're doing. How did you get into that, and where'd this all start?
Well, the actual start, I have to give credit to my wife. I used to be singing, and we went on a blind date, and we went down, and this was in Litre. I went down to the St. Clair River and did the boblow boat, and everybody's singing and have a great time. Of course, I drank way too much, and crashed the car on the way home. So that night coming home on the bus from the hospital, I said to my wife, to-be, that, you know, it'd be awfully nice if I had a car that could handle a little better. Trying to blame it on a car was really me. She says, "Oh, I know where something is just wonderful. I'll pick you up in the morning." So that morning she picked me up. We go over, and here is a fire engine red Allard L4 with a Granatelli Hemi in it. Wow. And the fellow is in an Air Force jumpsuit. I'll never forget, a gray jumpsuit, and he's out there polishing it. That moment, I fell in love with the car. I fell in love with my wife, and we've been there ever since. I did get rid of the car after about 10 or 15 years. But I still have that wife. It's almost 50 years now.
All right. So any of the guys out there watching, if you meet a young lady and she directs you to some cool car and suggests you buy it, marry her, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
All right. Well, I have great cars. This is probably the most normal car that you have here, though it's not totally, but tell us about this.
Well, this is what we'll call it Abbey normal. It's an unusual car. It's the only one that was ever built like this, and it belonged to a friend of mine who had it for 35 years, and he moved it to Hawaii about 10 years ago, and it got to the point that nobody could work on it in Hawaii. I guess there's not a lot of people that can do that, and he's had it under wraps, and he finally called me and he said, "Gary, I'm in my 80s now. I really can't use the car," he said, "but I can't think of no one that could do a better job. Just do it on the car." And so I bought it from him, and we brought it here from Hawaii and restored it, and it's really quite a nice little car. They took it out for the first time the other day, and it just goes like a rocket. But what's interesting, it was done in 1948 on a chassis, and with probably a Bentley chassis, and at that time they would take these cars and completely rebuild the whole chassis, and at that time there were still original coach builders, pre-war coach builders. So you can see the way it's made. It's beautifully handcrafted, and it's a dual cowl. It's just a fun car to drive, and that's the story of this wonderful little baby Rolls-Royce.
There's some movie history with it.
Oh, it does. Let me show you.
Okay.
I got to show you, Lance, right back here. And he didn't tell me that, the son of a gun, until after I had the car for quite a while. But this was the poster car for
Big Bad Mama
and Angie Dickinson.
That's Angie right there.
That's Angie. Yep.
All her splendor.
Shatner and Tom Skerritt, and that was really kind of a like, oh, by the way, here's the Hope Diamond. Oh, thank you. So anyway, that's the story on that.
Well, you have a story on something big and huge and bright and kind of chitty bang bangy, for a better description. Can we go take a look at that?
That's about as good as they get. Let's go. Absolutely.
Gary, this is delightful, frightening, warm and fuzzy. It's everything at the same time. What are we looking at? You're
looking at my salute to the great cars of the heroic age. This is the cars that 100 years ago the people were racing and driving, and nowadays people think, well, younger people like to think that, oh, I can jump in the car, put the key in, press the button, boom, I'm down that road, I'm Juan Fangio. you ain't one Fangio on this one. Let me tell you, we did put power steering and power brakes in it, because without brakes, I mean, if you cut me off, you're just another bump in the road. So we had to do that for safety reasons. But it's a wonderful old car, and it's designed to do one thing, and that's to make people happy and smile. And when they smile, that paid me for all the work that Andreas and I have done on this to make this a success.
When we walked in the room, we all broke into a big smile.
That's
great. What was it back originally?
Well, this is actually the 5th car that we have built like this, and the basis for them are old American LaFrance fire trucks, and these were all derelicts. Nothing that could be salvaged, nothing that could be put together, as everything had been pretty much taken off of them. They're sitting in fields or behind in an old barn, or had been used out here in California. They had been used on the ranches and just used up. Back east, old fire trucks were put in barns, and you can still find them there, and people have restored them. But here, they were used up. And so we take those bare bones and we turn them into something that makes people happy, makes me happy. And I can do all these fantastic ideas that I come up with and crazy things. And this is the results.
One of the most fun things about this is the rocket back end. What's going on here? This and this gas tank, which is about the size of the house I live in.
Yeah, it's a copper gas tank, and the very back cap, these were off of an old Seagrave fire truck that was in a junkyard, and I bought the truck in order to get this old green gas tank and that green old tank in the back, because I knew it was beautiful polished copper. And so now I have the pieces. I got rid of the fire truck back to the junkyard, and I kept this, and we polished it all up. Now I have to incorporate this in a design. And how do you incorporate a 60-gallon fuel tank and then the back end? So this is what I had to come up with, is this here, because I wanted people to see this, because it's just literally a work of art on its own behalf, as is the rear. And so we put the fins on it. This is all usable in here, by the way. This here, you can put 2 or 3 people in there. They can party. This is quite a piece. And as you can see, the tires, one of the big questions I get is, geez, you can still make these tires? They make tires for every car in the world. You can get any size. It's just the cubic bucks you have to pay for. So people, any tire size is available in the world. Just cost a lot of money.
La Bestioni?
La Bestioni.
1919.
1919. Now I'm going to tell you the story of how it got the name, La Bestioni. I had a friend of mine that was going to an Italian restaurant, and I said, ask a waiter how you say the beast in Italian, because I'm going to call my cars La Bestionis, right? Or the beast. So he came back and he said, La Bestioni. And I said, how's that? He said, L-A, then capital B-E-S-T-I-O-N-I. Beautiful. So I have all the work done, and we do everything on it. And I'm at a car show the first time out with it, and the woman says, how come it's the female gender? And I said, pardon me? She says it's a female gender. If it was a male, it would be L-E, Le Bestioni. It's not La Bestioni. So I asked my friend, I said, by the way, who did you ask at that restaurant? He said, I asked the waitress. I said, thank you. So now they're all female gender. Nothing personal, ladies, nothing personal.
Well, these fins here, and this beautiful piece right here, what's that about?
Isn't this marvelous? This is the end of a caustic solution tank that were on all major fire truck, triple combination fire trucks in the old days, and they were originally plated, and they would be able to put in a caustic solution, or it would be like water in it, and then it would throw in something like bromoseltzer, and it would build up pressure, and then you'd have your little hose, and you could put out little local fires if there wasn't a water supply around. Well, you can look at this closely, and I don't think this could be duplicated today, because this had to be done by hand, held by hand, and some guy sat there with a big punch going boom, boom, and boom, 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 and went around This is absolutely concentric. It's perfect. It's in itself is a fabulous piece of artwork. It really, truly is. And I don't think it could be duplicated today.
And you mentioned off camera that when this is going down and the sunlight hits it just right.
Sunlight hits it. It looks like, well, it looks like an afterburner's going on when the sun hits it. I took it to a little car show, a local car show not long ago, and my friend was following me, and I was concerned about, I had a little bit of a wobble in the front wheels, which we subsequently got pretty well taken care of. But I said, well, you follow me and we'll go about 40 miles an hour, and when we get down to Hampshire Road, I want you to pull in front of me and we'll go on into the event. So because I didn't know right where it was. Well, he said, well, we got down by Malibu where I thought you're doing 80 miles an hour. And I'm going, oh my God, my speedometer must be off. I have to claim that. And he said it looked like an afterburner was flying. He said, and the people just looking, going, oh. It's just an amazing sight to see. I mean, you can imagine this coming up in your rearview mirror.
Right.
And I didn't get past on the Ventura Freeway, so I had to know I was doing a little faster than 55.
Let's take the 20 minutes or so it takes to walk up to the engine on this thing. But on the way, show me what it is that the kids like on this.
Oh, this is, see if I got everything on. Well, when you're at a show, people just, you know, they're all around it because it's big and it's yellow and they think chitty chitty bang bang, just like you said. Most people think that. And when the little kids come up, they're looking and they're all, and I say, honey, press that little button. And they go, and they jump, and everybody jumps, everybody laughs, everybody has a very good time about it. Every once in a while, somebody, they feed into you your little stock jokes that you have, and one is, fellows say, well, is it a real car? Now, I know fully meaning is this something that was made back in the but I say, oh, a real car? Do me a favor, lay in front of it, let me drive over you, and we'll find out if it's a real car. Everybody laughs, they get embarrassed, so it's just kind of a fun thing. There's a few of those things that happen.
And the motor here, tell us about that.
The motor is called a T-head motor. It's an American LaFrance. It's 14 liters. These are Siamesed into 3 different little blocks. And the reason for the 3 separate blocks is, first of all, you could handle a single block. If you have one piston or something goes out, you can easily remove one, but if you had to remove 6 pieces, this weighs it's unbelievable weight. So there are Siamese pistons in here. They're the size of a 2-pound coffee can. Very, very low compression, about 6 to 1. I've never had one ever that has not run. Some of them maybe smoke a little bit, rings in that, but unless the engine is blown up, they run. It may take a half an hour, 45 minutes to get them going, and they might not have run for 40 or 50 years. And I can get them to run, Andreas and I. And it's actually a gas.
Speaking of gas, are these fuel cups here?
These are little fuel cups. These are in the old days because the gas quality, it wasn't that really wonderful. They would put a prime in there, and that would drop it on the piston on the compression side and light right up. But this has I think this has 18 plugs, so there's 12 on the distributor, or 12 on the magneto, and 6 plugs on the distributor, so you have a 2-point system. All of these trucks are worth saving because to me, they're all heroes. They've been fire trucks, they've saved lives, and we don't want to lose things.
Sure.
And no matter how bad you think these are, and how poor condition and rusty, they're still stronger than anything made today. After 50 years of sitting out and rusting, they can rust half away, and they're still stronger than anything out there today. So we save them and build all these wild bodies for them, have a good time doing it, and the purpose, again, is to have people smile. And they do that, and they're just wonderful, and they're fun to drive.
So 6 pistons, but 18 spark plugs.
I had one that had a 12 distributor, 12 magneto, and then I hung 6 extra plugs. I put them in top of the cap, so there were 30 wires, and people would come up and go, could never figure it out. And that was really fun to see the look on their face with 30 plugs in a car.
A bowl of spaghetti in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Looked like spaghetti.
Well, this is incredibly unique, and you have something that is unique, but there's something about it that's really unique. And Gary has taken, he's come up with a new old type of finish on a car that I think maybe you're going to start a trend.
Well, I hope so. I wasn't going to do it right, but you know what? I'm going to do it for you, Lance. I'm going to tell you this is the moment that you all find out what we're going to be doing. So follow me here,
So
please.
I'm sharing this. You're in on this secret. Okay, thank you, Gary.
Come on.
So Gary, you're going to tell us about this car that's under construction, and then you're going to reveal the big secret here. So what do we have here?
Okay, first of all, this is actually, we call it number 3, but it actually is number 5. Don't ask why, it doesn't matter. This is a 1917 American LaFrance chassis, and this is something that's completely different. This is what we've done. It's a combination of probably 2 or 3 different fire truck parts that we use and we salvage. We save everything we possibly can, every nut, every bolt, every little piece. And this is La Bestioni number 3. This is, we call it Rusty 1, R-U-S-T-Y 1. People tend to look at rust as your enemy. Well, I look at things a little differently. I do a 180 with it. I look at rust as my friend, if you can control rust. And as you can see, this bonnet right here, you see this faint writing, SFP, Fire Department. That is 97-year-old original rust. Now you heard of the rust rods and all of that. Well, we take it a step further and finish them completely. There's a few little processes that I won't go into, but to create this, but this is what we do. And for instance, that is the original rust. This we rusted on a piece, but I want you to see the condition of what this was. Look at the holes. This is rusted right through, completely rusted through. The bottom section, this is on there because it was completely rotted out, but it still needed to be saved. And I did this controlled rust on it. We call it tortoise shell. It looks just like a tortoise. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. You go to this fender, you can see as it was put together, where that was welded together and hammered down, across here, the seam here, and then down the middle. This is absolutely original rust on it. And you can see the beautiful colors and the character that this has. And this is what we do. Now you're going to find a few little dents and so forth in it, but that really isn't the point of making it perfect. It's to make it interesting and save it. And that's what we've done on the little side panels here, the rear fenders. It's just an absolutely wonderful thing to do with it. I think it makes it a very interesting thing for people to see. So don't always look at things as, oh, that's a pain. No. That can be a beautiful thing.
So the rust can be a gift.
It is a gift.
Yeah.
It really, truly is a gift. The woodwork, I want to comment on that. This is Honduras, or Philippine mahogany on the top, Honduras on the bottom. That's a little bit of the difference in the colors. And we put the screws in literally as an afterthought. They're not necessary. That's put together and glued on, all these pieces of wood. And this compliments a friend of mine across the street, John Maddox, who is the president of the Classic Boat Society, came over one day and said, "Gary, is there anything I could do to help on these cars?" That's what I mean, a gift from God. And so John has helped and has basically done this. He allows me to finish some of the painting and cleaning up and help strap it down. Andreas and I do that, but these are his creations. But isn't this absolutely a magnificent
and every
work of art?
slot is
every slot
direction.
And then we'll do this copper in between all of these up in front. There is a difference in the wood. We put ribbon mahogany in the front, so it looks like strips of ribbon. This was just standard mahogany. So you see the difference of the different types of materials that we use. But it's got a feel and a look to it. This again is 14 liters. This is a big humping, go down the road, get your attention thing. We fixed it and made the fenders so they turn with the car on the front. Everything we can do to make this an exciting project so people look at it and see something different than your normal cars that you'll see at a Concours. There's don't get me wrong, they're beautiful, wonderful things. But I kind of like to show something that's totally different, and people come out and they just scratch their head and say, wow, that's really something. And my standard ad, you know, they'll say, hey, why did you do that? And there really isn't much of a reason. I go like Johnny Winters used to say, I'm a robin redbreast. And they look at you like this. I changed my mind, I'm a blue jay. It doesn't matter why I did it, it's done. And they're beautiful, and they'll be around. These cars with chassis would normally be thrown away and broken up and gone. They'll be around for ever.
Yeah.
I'm going to be gone, but my cars live on. And when I sell these cars, we drive them for a year, then we generally auction them off at Barrett-Jackson to the highest bidder, no reserve, never put a reserve on them. And the idea is that they will live on. And they make room for the new cars coming in because there's always new ones. I'm already got one in my mind for Rusty too. So
that's
stay tuned.
That's the shiniest rust I have ever seen.
Yep, isn't it beautiful with the metal, and you see the gold and the silver flakes, and it blows me a line. You can see the streaks where the water went down it and rusted it in that particular pattern, like a speed pattern. It's just absolutely wonderful.
And somebody 200 years from now, 300 years from now, could be watching this tape or whatever it is at that time,
right.
You know, watching it in that cell in their head that they want, whatever, and getting this history on this thing. And you're right, I bet it's still around.
I bet it is too.
Gary, you have a naked car here. What's going on?
Oh, that's my babies right here. This is B161LE. In the Rolls and Bentley crowd, you always talk about your cars by the serial number. That way there's no mistake that what was he talking about. This is 1936-37 Bentley 4 1/4, but what's unusual about it, well, I've had it 30 years, it was a derelict. And the body was all rotted off of it and everything else. So I removed everything, and I just loved it because there's all these lovely little mechanical things going on with them. So I just kept it as my nude baby. Actually, next to the two boat tail Rollses for darn near. This one I've had 30 years, and the boat tails I had for 27 years. And my friend said, you know, you're getting along a tooth. You better start doing something with one of these things, or with all of them, or they're going to end up in the pile of neglect and regret. And so anyhow, we built the boat tails, as you know, and now this one here, we're going to be doing a full number on. But what's unusual about it, although it's completely rebuilt mechanically, it has, I moved the engine, transmission, and firewall back 18 inches. Well, there's a double purpose to that. It gives you a nice, long, beautiful front end, but it also gives you a perfect weight distribution, 50-50%. I moved the transmission shifter from the right-hand side. I moved it into the center of the floor. It's up in the air, but we're putting a new center piece in for the rear end, which will allow this car to do 114 miles an hour without having an overdrive to play with or anything like that. Again, the front of the car is not a 4 1/4, it's a 4 1/2, and it was really off of a Le Mans Bentley. If you look at the thing, I picked it up 20 years ago, and here it is with the screen. It raced Le Mans, and recently found an original bonnet, or a hood as we call them over here. So anyway, we built a boat tail for it. It's out just about finished now. We're going to be putting it on, but it has triple fins, one down the center and two sucker fins off the side. It's really wild, and that's all in ribbon mahogany.
Okay.
It's really going to be a killer. It will weigh about 100 pounds over chassis weight. And you know what weight does with an automobile? It will go and fly. And it will have twin side mounts we have for it. It's going to be a very, very exciting car, and I think to be the one to beat.
When these were new, they were incredible cars. Everybody knew that. It took a lot of money to get one, but where were they in as far as technology? I see lots of gears and gizmos, and was it the best of the best back then, or the simplest of the good quality?
No, it was the best of the best, and a lot of it is kind of complicated. They have a one-shot lubrication system where you'll push a pedal and it'll operate. It's attached to this Bezier system, and it operates a a level, and you see the oil comes out here, and it goes to all movable points on the entire car. So to lubricate your car, you go whoop, whoop, give it a couple punches every once. The oil is recommended by the factory. What we would do is, if you were at somebody's place and they were rude and nasty, you just empty in their driveway and disembowel the car on their driveway. They wonder what the hell is going on here. They're actually very technologically advanced. They have redundant systems on everything. There's, multiple braking systems and things. If one thing goes wrong, the other one would. This is why they were considered one of the top flight automobiles in the world.
Gary, you have been an absolute delight. What a wonderful interview and collection and imagination. This has just been a great episode. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Lance, and I really appreciate it. Remember, mi casa is su casa.
Okay.
You're welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
For any reason, just come on by and have some fun. Have a drink with me.
Okay, well, you probably won't see me again till tomorrow.
Okay. Doggone it.
And I hope maybe you see us tomorrow or at least next week. Thank you very much for tuning into the Vintage Vehicle Show. If we don't have you watching, we don't have a show. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. And now we are going for a ride.
Absolutely. Hard starter.